Hey guys, welcome to the SmackDown review, and that's because she is once again without Wi-Fi this week, so hopefully she's able to join the modern age again next week and get that Wi-Fi up and running. Obviously, not her fault, but I don't know how you're doing it. I mean, maybe it's for the best. We all need to go through some kind of detox, I think, from Wi-Fi and being connected to the internet, although we have cell towers, so yeah, you're not totally in the dark. But let's get to the SmackDown review. Probably going to be a bit of a quick show here as I have my weekend review tomorrow night, but let's go through it. And it came to us last night from Columbia, South Carolina at the Colonial Life Arena as Trick Williams comes out. A very fun homecoming for him. The crowd was on fire. It is his hometown, but he looked and felt like a real star there. And he is one of the bright spots of SmackDown right now, in the few that there are. Glad that the Gingerbread Man has seemingly been retired for the time being. We had some silliness from Danhausen and all the rest, but we'll get to that. And again, back to Trick Williams opening the show. He ends up coming out with Little Yachty, and he came out with the University of South Carolina's mascot, and he held up a Gamecocks jersey with Trick Williams on the back. He pointed out that he grew up on the street that hosts the venue right now, and he talked about his mom and dad in the crowd and raved about a local chicken and waffles restaurant. Crowd loved it. Fun moment. I mean, there is nothing like, I'm sure, being in front of your actual hometown. And he got a great reaction. But we ended up getting Miz and Kit Wilson interrupting fairly quickly as they walked to the ring. Miz pointed at the mascot and recalled the Gingerbread Man, and he said that while Trick's career is starting to look like a rejected mascot from his daughter's birthday, he mocked Yachty mocked the Miz for being cursed. And Kit Willie read a poem about how Trick wouldn't last a day on the streets where he came from, seemingly the mean streets of, I don't know, Yorkshire, England, or wherever he said he was from, and which was entertaining enough. And Yachty fired back with his own rhymes that, I got to be honest, weren't impressive. They weren't John Cena-esque. It was him just trying to find a word that rhymed with the last word of every sentence instead of coming up with like an actual retort to him. It felt very much elementary, where he was just saying, I'm a bat and it's whack and that's Matt. And it's like, it didn't flow well. And when you've heard it from John Cena, who uses it in a promo style, and he's an expert at it, you go to Little Yachty and you're like, it's not great. But it was entertaining enough, I guess, for those in attendance anyway. He brought up the reference to Miz having tiny balls. I really hope we're not going back to that. And let's see, Miz got upset and he called a referee and saying he was going to whoop Trick in front of his mama. And Wilson tried to echo Miz's line, but Trick backhanded him. And then Trick cleared the heels from the ring, and Miz was on the floor yelling at Trick Williams' parents. All right. So we do get the match here of the United States champion, Trick Williams, against The Miz, non-title. The match went 11 minutes and 15 seconds, and Trick Williams wins, as he should. Miz hits a skull-crushing finale. Of course, it's a near fall now because all finishers are near falls. A frustrated Miz then goes to ringside and returns with a kendo stick. And Miz wound up using the kendo stick, but wound up to use it, I should say. And then Little Yachty took it away and ended up beating Kit Wilson with it on the floor. And then Trick hit Miz with the trick shot. Got the victory. Good. Solid. No issues. I mean, it was a nice, fun way to open the show, especially if you're from Columbia, South Carolina. A feel-good moment. Easy to understand. Not complicated. And really a nice way to open the show. All right. Nick Aldis spoke briefly with Rey Fenix and praised him for tearing it up in AAA. And Phoenix said He has his eyes on something big. Sami Zayn approached Aldis after Phoenix left, and Zayn said he was ashamed of the way he handled himself in the U.S. title match, and he asked for a rematch. Aldis said Zayn had his rematch and said Zayn would have to now earn it. Sami got upset and tried to redeem himself for his ride or die fans, and Aldis said Zayn sounded entitled, and Phoenix returned after Aldis walked away and tried to calm him down. So again, having Zayn in this position of where he doesn't view himself yet as the bad guy is a good position. Sami has gone on record of saying that he hasn't fully turned heel, and I guess that's true in the sense that his character hasn't caught up with his reaction, but the reaction is really what will dictate whether or not you're a heel. Because how people view different traits and characteristics in people do evolve over time. And it's not always static, and it's not always the same also from person to person, and the storyline and how long you've been a babyface, and just the overall feel of the even the internet wrestling community about how they perceive you can bleed into real world reactions. So a lot of variables here, but yeah, Zayn continues his transition into being a quote unquote bad guy where he's already getting booed anyway. All right. Ricky Saints was interviewed. This actually came before, but he was interviewed about him facing Carmelo Hayes, and Hayes rattled through some of his, Carmelo was interviewed, and he rattled through some of his standard lines before he was interrupted by Ricky Saints. And Hayes says he's the landlord of the ring and his rent is due on Saint. Okay. I remember this. I was half paying attention. I'm watching and reading the review from Pro Wrestling Net. Credit to them. But yeah, this just wasn't good. It was hokey, scripted, didn't do anything for me. Forgettable. Just being honest, at least the very quick promo build to the match. So we then get the next match, which is the women's tag team champions, Paige and Brie Bella, taking on Julia and Kiana James. The match was non-title, so it's good to see that the women's tag titles aren't always defended, even if the champions are in action. The match went 9 minutes, with Paige and Brie Bella getting the victory, and they got the victory by Brie rolling up James for a 2 count. James super kicked Brie, and then James went for a standing moonsault, but Brie put her knees up. Paige tags in, hits her Rampage DDT finish, and got the victory. And the crowd didn't seem to be super into this, I have to say. They didn't even seem that much into Paige. And Paige, look, she's one half of the women's tag team champions, so it's not to say that they brought her in to do nothing, because that's not true. She's getting on-air time. But perhaps the crowd reaction to her coming back faded off a little too quick for anyone's liking. For Paige's, fans that really enjoy her work, and obviously WWE. They're giving her a positive reaction, but it's been muted. Post-WrestleMania, it's been muted. I wouldn't say that's a cause for concern yet, because I think what they need to do is put her in a story and let her talk. Paige can talk. She's a better promo than I think people give her credit for. And maybe that's where she gets some of the momentum back, because she won the belts. She's in this weird tag team division with Brie, who doesn't really fit with Paige, because we all know it should be Nikki, and Nikki's on the shelf. It's strange. It's this quick detour to hopefully a different destination for Paige, which is maybe a women's championship. So the analysis of this from Pro Wrestling Net, by the way, said that these four had the unenviable task of following Trick in his hometown. The live crowd was quiet yet attentive while coming down from Trick's segment, but they got louder as the match went on. I don't know how much it would have helped, but it wouldn't have hurt had they come up with a way to turn this into a title match. Yeah, I mean, it is an unenviable position, but the difference is this is at the beginning of the show too, right? You have a more energetic crowd every time at the beginning of a show because they haven't expended their energy yet. So I think that's a little bit to it, but I think there's more to it than just it being Trick Williams' hometown and the crowd was excited to see him and we're going crazy for him, and then they get Paige and Brie Bella. Paige is a big star. But okay, fine. Yeah, if we want to explain it away, I mean, I'm willing to buy some of that, but not all of it. Okay, we get Tiffany Stratton being interviewed by Kathy Kelly. She's the women's champion, by the way, in case some of you forgot. She was interrupted by Julia and Kiana James bickering in the background because Tiffany can't talk, apparently. And then Chelsea Green shows up and said there had been a lot of bickering between Julia and James since the second greatest women's champion beat both of them. Stratton said some people are meant to be a team and are oblivious to it. Green said that would never be her and Stratton, who said she was right because they would never be a team. Okay, so obviously they're going to be a team. Yeah, duh. But the most striking part of this is while Tiffany Stratton wasn't a part of WrestleMania, she has fallen off a cliff. And yes, they've made her women's champion the United States women's champion. They've taken the promo part of her completely out of the equation. They have removed her ability to cut a promo without immediately being interrupted, which tells you they don't have much faith in that person talking because they have to immediately be interrupted. That's one of the sure telltale signs about WWE's or TKO's confidence in any individual is how long they're allowed to speak without being interrupted or attacked. That's a real telltale sign about the company's confidence in that person, man or woman, to cut a promo. And in this case, they just seemingly don't have much in Tiffany, who hasn't said much anyway over the last several weeks. Cody Rhodes comes out. He has 2 chairs in the ring. They're there for a signing. And Tessitore called Cody a one-man crew. And Cody asked the fans what, I'm not even going to say what he said, but he said all the ingredients for a contract signing were here. He had the contract, and now he needs Gunther to come to SmackDown. He had that, and another WWE Championship match at Clash in Italy. Gunther comes out and spoke from the stage. He asked Cody if he knew how much time and planning went into roster transfer for the best wrestler in WWE. Gunther said Cody still found a way to make it all about himself, just like a typical American. And Gunther said Cody cries and complains when it's not all about him. Gunther said it's a deal, his title match, and it will be his title. Gunther said he just wanted Cody to be professional and told him not to forget to say please. Cody said Gunther convinced Paul Heyman to negotiate for a title shot that he never earned. Okay, I hope that's not the favor for Gunther, by the way. Cody said he's the one with the American flag tattoo on his neck, but Gunther was the one who was making it weird. Cody asked Gunther to please sign the contract, come get his ass kicked in Italy. Gunther said he didn't think Cody really meant what he said. He said, please. And Gunther suggested that Cody refer to him as Mr. Gunther. And that's when Royce Keys made his entrance. Yes, Royce Keys. Remember him? He stopped on stage next to Gunther. He said, if you won't sign it, I will. And before he could sign it, they went back and forth. Gunther and Keys did, taking the pen away. And GM Nick Aldis comes out and said the contract was supposed to have Gunther's name on it, but he had yet to sign it. And Aldis said Gunther overplayed his hand and announced that Gunther would face Keys later in the show, and the winner would challenge Cody at the Clash in Italy. And Gunther stormed out of the ring and was barking at Aldis. And so the analysis before I give you mine from Pro Wrestling Net said, the addition of Keys to this storyline was an unexpected twist. I'm looking forward to seeing what kind of match he and Gunther can put together. It was unexpected. It's a little illogical given that Royce Keys is, he just came here, and now you're going to tell the world, oh, sorry, Gunther, you've taken like a little longer than I want, so we're going to give this guy that has never been here before, to my knowledge, had a main roster victory, and we're going to give him a title shot at the next PLE in the main event because you're taking too long. What? Like, at the same time, I get you're trying to build a new star, so I mean, is it a complaint? Kind of, but I'm more willing to allow for star power and seeing the next generation, building for the next star, than just trying to pretend that this logic is is there. It's not, but okay. So we had backstage Solo and Tama Tonga. Solo asked Tama Tonga if he understood the assignment. He didn't respond. So Solo repeated himself, and then Tama nodded, and then Solo said our truth wasn't cleared, but Damien Priest was still walking around. Solo told Tama to take him out and told Tama Tonga that they would go talk to Royce Keys. So Shinsuke Nakamura, yes, I did not misspeak. Shinsuke Nakamura shows up and said that he had waited so long, and he said he knew that Tama had already decided, and he started to reply, but Tama returned and attacked Nakamura, and he chokeslammed Nakamura through the table and left him lying. And backstage, Aldis raised his voice while telling Gunther he overplayed his hand, and Paul Heyman should have told him not to play games with him. Again, he was playing games, but he was playing games with Cody. It's gamesmanship. Okay, but anyway, Carmelo Hayes and Ricky Saints was the next matchup of the night, the third matchup of the night. The match went 12 minutes and 15 seconds with Carmelo beating Ricky Saints, and he should have. Carmelo is back for the first time, in my estimation, since WrestleMania, when they dethroned him as U.S. champion, didn't put him on the card, and then told him, hey, we'll see you post-Mania. Well, here we are. So that's good. He gets a victory off the bat against a guy that also is brand new to the roster, and Ricky Saints, main roster anyway. The match was good. Not that I don't think the crowd has any strong connection with either Carmelo or Ricky. They're both new to most eyeballs. So the match, though, was good, and this is how you'll get the attention of fans if you can't really cut a promo yet, and that's to just have a great match, and these two are capable of that, and they did it. They had a good match. The finish was, I will say this. The finish was a little suspect because we had Charles Robinson catch Ricky Saints trying to use the ropes to gain leverage for the pin, and then Carmelo did the same thing, and the ref didn't catch it, Charles Robinson. Now, I guess the logic here is that turnabout's fair play, but at the same time, Carmelo still is, I guess, a babyface, and he's using the ropes to win. See, I don't know. The crowd didn't care. I'm sure it won't be a big deal, but all right, turnabout's fair play, I guess, is the logic we're supposed to just swallow and be okay with it. All right. Damien Priest shows up in the back and questioned what was going on with Keys. He spoke about how the MFTs took him, Truth, and Shinsuke, but they didn't take out Keys yet. And Priest said Keys hasn't earned his respect or trust, and he told Truth that he'd be careful if he were him, and that he can't be at ringside because he wasn't medically cleared. Priest said whatever happened would happen. At least he knew Truth would be safe. And that was it. All right, Damien Priest and Tama Tonga. The match went 10 minutes with Damien Priest winning after hitting a South of Heaven chokeslam in a match that was fine. It was fine. Nothing that the crowd really was super into. But the finish, the post-match, we had Tama Tonga immediately boot Priest in the face after the match. He was joined in the ring by Solo, and he hit him with a Samoan spike. So Damien Priest gets put down by Tala and Solo post-match. So Damien Priest, is he being brought back in the fold? Do we dare say I mean, Priest, after he lost his world championship, has been, and he did his Tower of Terror or Twin Tower. What is it? Not Twin Towers. Just not a good reference. The Terror Twins with Rhea Ripley. Been kind of MIA since then. A little strange, but maybe he's being brought back into the fold in something semi-important, perhaps. But Tama Tonga is the guy that they seem to be really focused on because he's the biggest. He's got the most gravitas. But Priest has got he's got a history of his own. He's not a pushover. What I'd like to hear from Priest is, again, microphone, words. That's what really puts asses in seats. It truly does. So maybe this is the start of something different for Damien Priest. Backstage, Nick Aldis was being berated or having to sit through Sami Zayn venting and calling him entitled. Zayn said the place isn't what it used to be, and, quote, guys like us feel it the most. The camera pulled back to reveal that Zayn was talking to Johnny Gargano, not Nick Aldis. So Sami Zayn was venting about Nick Aldis, not talking to him. But he was lying on the production crate next to him while acting comatose. And Candice LeRae showed up and said she's entitled to having a husband who does something more than just lie there. And after LeRae stormed away, Zayn said, you have to remember who you are and don't let anyone take it away from you. And Zayn walked away and Gargano looked up. What? See, this is the like, what are we doing? I guess we're supposed to just the takeaway here is that people are tired of hearing Zayn complain and moan and bitch, and so he's just leaving people in comas because they're just so off put and devastated by having to listen to Sami Zayn speak. I guess that's the takeaway. But also Candice LeRae. Look, this is just weird. I don't know why they need to do this humorous shit with Sami. He's talented enough to pull this off as just using normal methods of turning heel. We don't need gingerbread men. We don't need Chat GPT AI slop of gingerbread men and photos that never existed. We don't need any of that. We don't need people laying comatose. We just need Sami Zayn doing what he does best, and that is talking. I mean, he does obviously great work in the ring, but really good on the mic, and it's working. It's working, but okay, yeah, this wasn't good. But we then had Jade Cargill come out. And by the way, let me give you the analysis of Pro Wrestling Net on this. Candice is entitled to have a husband who does something more than just lie there. Do the writers have my house bugged? Anyway, the Gargano planking bit isn't getting much of a reaction. It's time to move on to the next chapter. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I mean, I know Gargano, whatever the reason, it didn't fit. Didn't fit. Yeah, agreed. Jade Cargill comes out, and she had B-Fab and Michin. Jade said everyone acts tough when she's not in the building, and she said people seem to get quiet when her music hits. And Jade said pressure bursts pipes, and that women's championship will come home from Clash in Italy with her. Okay, before we get to the next segment here, that's not a good thing to say that people get quiet when her music hits. I know she's referring to, I guess, people in the back that talk shit behind her back and then don't say anything. Well, how would you know when the music hits that it gets real quiet? If you're talking about the fans, that's not a good thing. That's the last thing actually you would like to say and should say is that, oh, when my music hits, everybody gets quiet. That's not a flex, bro. Well, anyway, Charlotte Flair makes her entrance, followed by Alexa Bliss. Flair told Jade that the fans didn't want to hear her talk, and she asked the crowd if this was Flair country and wooed. Flair said she and Jade have been doing this dance for a few years, but Jade finally pissed her off last week. And Bliss said she thought Jade's backup dancers were supposed to make her look good. And Flair said it was time for Jade to take a seat and watch the match. And Jade said she was getting bored with Flair and Bliss. So, this was a little disappointing given that Charlotte Flair interrupted Jade Cargill, a match that they've been teasing for years, since really the moment Jade came onto the roster. And then when she comes out, it was very ho-hum reaction to Charlotte and Jade here. And I think that's due to a couple things. Well, mainly one, and that is that Charlotte has been shoved into the tag team division, and we haven't heard much from her. This is a new Charlotte Flair, a Charlotte Flair that is more palatable, yes, and she's also transformed. And if she wants to rise again, so to speak, and make the fans feel like she's a big deal and that they actually want to see her as champion, then there's some work to do. They got to pull her out of the tag team division, give her more mic time, and then have her just go to work, basically. The key is, though, if you want to keep Charlotte Flair a babyface, is to not lean on the same methods as as was before, with bow down to me, I'm the queen, and showing her in luxury jets and basically living the equivalent of the Ric Flair lifestyle. You don't want that. So you need to, I guess, maintain this humble version of Charlotte, but just give her more time. Give her a sit-down interview. I have to say, like, even Alexa, I think, is in line for a refresh. I'm not saying a reboot, where they need to rethink and reimagine her character or Charlotte's. But it's time for these two, I think, to part ways. Amicably. Much like Io Sky and Rhea did. Amicably. They don't need to have these two fight. I don't need it. I don't think anyone is even asking for it. And then what you could do is have, if you want Charlotte to be the focal point here, sit down interview, vignettes, have her take some time off, whatever you got to do. Just kind of hit the reset button on Charlotte Flair. And yes, you still run the risk. You'll always run the risk of people rejecting her and remembering, oh my God, that's right. Now she's back at the women's title hunt. Oh my God, here we go. And that's a risk, but you'll deal with it as it comes. And I think people, if it comes down to it and it's Jade versus Charlotte, fans are going to side with Charlotte. They will. So, okay. A Blake Monroe vignette aired. She referred to herself as the Glamour and said the women in the locker room would see the difference between her and themselves. And it just said coming soon. So we don't know what that means. Could be Clash in Italy. Could be Saturday Night Main Event. Could be after that. Coming soon is obviously very vague. But let's move on. Fifth match of the night. Charlotte Flair and Alexa Bliss take on Michin and B-Fab. Jade Cargill is at ringside. She sat in a chair next to the broadcast table, and Bliss dove from the second rope, but B-Fab caught her and got the 2 count. Okay, so as the time presses on and the match presses on, it ended up going 12 minutes, but it ended in a DQ. Yes, Charlotte and Alexa get the victory, but that is just scorekeeping. That's not the real story here. The story here is the finish as Bliss hits B-Fab with Sister Abigail and had her pinned, but Jade pulls Bliss to the floor and hit her for the DQ. And after the match, Flair tosses Michin over the broadcast table, returns to the ring, took out B-Fab with a big boot, and then Flair started mouthing off at Jade. And a nice little build to eventually Charlotte and Jade again, but I think there's still some work to do with Charlotte specifically. Jade's on a decent path. I mean, I've been giving her shit for years, and her match at WrestleMania was better than I expected. I think she can continue to evolve. She's getting more comfortable on the mic. So things are moving for her. Things are moving. Backstage, the fatal influence of JC Jane, Fallon Henley, and Lainey Reed looked unimpressed by what they watched, and Kathy Kelly comes in to talk to them. And Henley and Reed took their turns before Jane spoke about how they would take all the gold. I believe them. Don't be surprised if by SummerSlam, as soon as SummerSlam, this trio, Fatal Influence, JC, Fallon, and Laney, are champions. Tag team and or having JC Jane be the women's United States champion and having Fallon and Laney be the women's tag title holders. So could happen sooner than later. I think there's something to that. It wasn't just a throwaway line. All right. They then hyped the 2-night AAA Triple Mania for September 11th and 13th. They hyped a Roman Reigns and Jacob Fatu recap. And then backstage, Flair told Bliss that she was working hard on becoming a team player. And Flair asked where Rhea was this week, and Bliss said that they were outnumbered and needed help. Flair asked if she looked like an I need help person, and Bliss said they are outnumbered and Ripley owed them one. But Ripley's not a SmackDown wrestler, remember? It's not her job to come to SmackDown. All right. So, backstage, Solo approached Royce Keys, who was warming up for his match. Solo spoke about how he could help Keys, and he said he would hate to see what happened to Shinsuke happen to Keys. Royce stopped arming up and told Solo he had this, and he said, quote, Jacob said the same thing. And then Solo, okay, that's in it. Okay, moving on. A throwaway segment. Basically, Keys is not going to go to the dark side. That's the end of that. Gunther comes out. And by the way, an ad for Monday's Raw focused on Roman Reigns firing back at Jacob Fatu, and open challenge continues for Obafemi. So 2 things to look forward to there. Royce Keys comes out, so we get a shot at the WWE Championship on the line at Clash in Italy for both Gunther and Royce Keys. The match went nearly 16 minutes with Gunther winning as he should have, and he got the powerbomb victory. He grabbed the camera, yelling to Cody into the camera lens, and what do you know, Cody Rhodes comes out, gives a crossroads to Gunther to end the show. The match was okay, by the way. It was all right. Wasn't the most thrilling match. Royce Keys has some work to do. I don't think we'll see him in any kind of WWE Championship opportunity, even just a shot at an opportunity at the belt. It's going to be a while. Let's let him cook, right? There's things that he needs to do to get to that position where people can believe he's a real threat. He's not anywhere near that. Most wrestling fans, WWE fans will look at him and go, who is this? I don't even know your name. So he's got some time to work through. And this is the star making process that a lot of people have no patience for. And I would really plead with you to have patience. Star making processes are not fun if you want instant gratification, but this is one of them. And WWE feels as if they might have something here, and they might be right. Time will tell. But we are in a star-making phase right now, if you've noticed. And the way that WWE trimmed a lot of the people out in April tells you that they're trying to make room for a new batch of stars. They have a new generation in mind. And we'll ultimately see if that's good or bad. Time will tell. All right, the analysis from Pro Wrestling Net on the final segment was the match was plotting at times. The crowd wasn't fully embraced in Keys yet. Well, yeah. And Gunther may as well just looked into the camera and called that broadcast table spot. But it was still fun to see this first time matchup, and Keys was protected via the spot with Solo. It also put an end to the speculation that Keys will join him, and hopefully he won't get caught up in feuding with the MFTs for too long. I agree. Everything with the MFTs just drags on forever. Like, once WWE finds a group or single star to feud with the MFTs, they lock in this forever battle. I would agree. The last in closing from Pro Wrestling Net says, overall, a long, underwhelming episode. 2-hour SmackDown episodes can't return soon enough. The Trick Williams opening and final segment were good, but a lot of what happened in between felt uneventful. Fair. Yeah, I mean, underwhelming. I would say I would give it a slightly higher rating than that. Kind of like average. It was okay. You'll only remember a couple of things coming from this show. And yes, the opening segment was probably the most energetic. The final segment was fine. I mean, again, you had Cody come out there, so that's a positive if you're in the arena and you wanted to see somebody of note come out. So yeah, this is fine. It was fine. Nothing that I'm going to sit here and lose my mind over. We had some Danhausen silliness, by the way, which, I don't know what to say about that. Danhausen. One thing I'm worried about, and this is something that I'm echoing from others that I'm seeing as well, I'll talk about it and I will piggyback on it. Danhausen does run the risk of being overexposed. And that's a problem that WWE's had forever, where they find something that works. And Vince was famous for this. And once he found something that even the crowd reacted slightly to, and they got behind solidly after a while, even after the crowd stopped really responding and you could tell it has, it's past its expiration date, Vince would pound it into you still. And I'm concerned that with Danhausen, the WWE or TKO will say, hey, well, the fans loved him. More. And then guess what? They forgot about the law of diminishing returns. And the next thing you know, Danhausen's getting little reaction or he's turning heel or whatever. So I'd be careful about overexposing Danhausen. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is more. So, all right. I will end it there. I'm very tired tonight. Long day for me. Hope everybody's enjoying their weekend and that you are getting things done. The weather up here finally changed. I have to say, we have been waiting for this since probably September, October. It's been a long 6+ months up here of, yes, winter and all the rest, but sometimes the winter isn't even the worst part here in upstate New York. And when I say upstate, I'm not talking about Westchester. So many people that I talk to and that don't know me ask where I'm from, and I give them my address. I'm joking. But I'll let them know, no, I'm not in Westchester, which if you're from New York City, think that's Westchester. Upstate is equal to Westchester. And no, it's not. That to us is referred to as downstate. But my point about all this is that even in the winter, that's not the worst part. It's brutal, it's cold, but you expect it. So out of the 3 parts of winter, going in, during, and after, the during part 2, is it's fine because it's what you expect. The second worst is going into winter because you know what's coming. The leaves are falling. They fall for months and months and months. Cleanup is a nightmare, all the rest of it. I hate it. I want to slice all my trees down. But going into it stinks because, again, beyond the cleanup, you just know what's coming. The days are getting cooler. The weather can be nice, but the hot weather's over and you're like, oh no, right? You can sense it. But by far and away, by miles, the worst part about the winter here is after winter's over. Because up here, what happens is in March, inevitably, you'll get warm days where it could go into the 60s, sometimes 70 degrees up here. And, we're transitioning from 10 to 20 degrees to 30 degrees every day and snow and ice to, oh my God, holy shit, it's 70 degrees. But the problem with that is then after that happens and people are just so weary from the winter, you get one day like that and people are going crazy and thinking that, oh my God, yes, boom, spring's here it comes, winter's over. bring out the shorts, put my lawn chairs, put my summer lawn equipment out, right? And then guess what happens? Winter returns, and you'll inevitably get weeks of cold rain and sometimes even snow and ice all the way through April into May. And then again, you'll get those shots of warm days, but it is a brutal haul out of spring and into like the weather that you want up here, which is like 80 degrees, 85 degrees and sunny. Yeah. And it just it takes forever up here to get that consistently. And finally, we have snapped here the corner into, I think, true spring, which is to say that tomorrow's going to be like 80s and it's going to be like 80s into the 90s next week. And then it's going to cool back down. I mean, I'm not trying to give you the weather report here, but I'm just saying that's what's on my mind right now, because I could officially say like we've now turned the corner. That's how long it takes. It takes at least till the middle of May here before you can be like, all right, it's consistently going to be at least kind of warm, sometimes really hot, but just good weather. That's how long. From mid-October to mid-May sucks. Just sucks as a general rule. So anybody that's not in New York, you probably are just saying, what are you talking about? My weather here is this and that. I'm giving my own very personalized experience. But if you're not in New York, then you be happy, because you don't have to go through months and months and months and months and months of just horribleness. So I can't move out though. I was going to move to Florida. That's another topic for another day. It's certainly not about wrestling. So, all right, I will pause and shut up. I appreciate everybody for listening. Again, I'll be back tomorrow, hopefully with a weekend review. Even though I covered SmackDown tonight, so I won't be doing that tomorrow night. I'll, maybe coming up with some kind of unique show. I did do a AI show many months ago about what AI came up with for the predictions for 2026. So maybe I'll talk about that and see what it's come up with as the year has progressed. Now we're already 5 months through the year. We're almost halfway through the year, which is just fucking crazy. But we could do that. I'll come up with something. Maybe throw a video out there for patrons and give you guys a little bit more. And you should have more because you're supporting the show. But check that out. I think you'll get a kick out of it. Maybe I'll do the AI thing tomorrow and respond to how horrible sometimes the predictions are from AI, which I usually use ChatGPT. I know there's Claudia or Claude or something. I know there's many other AI models, Grok and everything else, but that's tomorrow. And then a video as well on top of it. So, all right, everybody, that will conclude the show for me. Time to hit the hay. I appreciate everybody listening, and we will talk soon.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.